China appears to be on the verge of becoming fragmented. The Chinese Communist Party's seeming unity is in tatters, with all three groups embroiled in a deadly feud. This is likely to worsen in the next months, leading to the start of a revolution and then the country split into 7 autonomous entities. Jiang Zemin's Shanghai group and Jintao's Beijing faction are locked in a clandestine fight with President Xi Jinping's Zhenjiang faction, and each is attempting to eradicate the other's influence in the dirty political game. Behind the scenes, there is widespread labor discontent and pro-democracy marches against the current dictatorship, which are mostly ignored by the heavily censored national and foreign media. Spies and analysts watching the escalating volatility in China say the country's demise will be hastened by an unprecedented crackdown on opposition and the disappearance of attorneys and human rights campaigners, which is wreaking havoc in the country's hinterlands. The Chinese hinterland is in disorder as a result of unprecedented crackdowns on opposition and the disappearance of attorneys and human rights campaigners. China has managed to muffle news stories about hundreds of protests in provinces thanks to ruthless media control. However, before the Communist Party's 19th National Congress, certain underground activists have provided details on what we now know as a big revolt against the Xi Jinping administration, sources added. China has finally reached a tipping point, and a Chinese revolution could result in the liberation of Xinjiang, Manchuria, Hong Kong, Tibet, Chengdu, Zhangzhou, and Shanghai. They went on to say that the Chinese government is working hard to keep the Doklam impasse and North Korea's nuclear threats against the U.S. front and center in order to gather support for Jinping. China is increasing the stalemate, according to Ting Biao, China's most well-known human rights campaigner and lawyer, who spoke to the Sunday Standard from New York, and Jinping is exploiting the occasion to galvanize his shrinking support base. The ruling Communist Party, according to Tang, is sponsoring some anti-India demonstrations in China. He further claimed that pro-democracy activists are discreetly plotting a revolution to overthrow China's one-party dictatorship and create a democratic administration. We have no idea if it will take 5 or 10 years. It is apparent that we are not waiting for another revolution like 1989, but rather preparing for one. Activists and attorneys are using different mediums to send out information and assist the revolution, despite the Jinping regime's attack on social media and blogs, Ting remarked.